All right. Well, what I'm going to do here is something that I find myself doing behind the scenes anyways, which is constantly scrolling Reddit. I love Reddit. Reddit is an excellent source for just really concentrated information from groups from a range of interests. And the groups that I find myself joining to sort of keep me in the loop for what experienced advertisers are discussing are subreddits dedicated to different verticals, different spaces in the digital marketing space. For example, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let's take a look at it together. The PPC subreddit, which I really do enjoy scrolling. Honestly, oftentimes as I'm scrolling through it, I'll just find myself clicking through some different questions and wanting to be more involved and talk more about it. And so what I want to do is I want to go through a couple of these different questions and answer them so that I have some direct feedback from what communities are searching for. There's the PPC subreddit. There's also the Google Leads subreddit, the digital marketing subreddit, and there's also another digital marketing subreddit. So looking at the RPPC subreddit, let's go through and see if I can find a good question to walk through. All right, this is an interesting one. Need feedback on low converting B2B mineral search ads. PPC advice wanted. All right, let's take a look at it. Hi everyone, I'm running a Google search ads campaign for a B2B mineral business, abrasive sand, targeting industries like blasting, cutting, surface prep, oil, water filtration, and shipbuilding. Very niche. Our audience includes end users, traders, and exporters across Malaysia, Indonesia, South Korea, and Vietnam. Here's the performance from February 1st to February 20th. 186 clicks, 2.4 thousand conversions. Okay. That seems like a really high number. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm reading that wrong. Okay. Clicks, 186. Impressions, 2,400. Conversions, lead form submissions, 2. Cost, 8,000. Click-through rate, 7.75%. Observations, click-through rate is strong, so ads seem relevant. Conversions are very low despite clicks. I suspect the issues might be landing page not fully addressing the B2B buyer concerns, intent mismatch, some clicks may be research-focused, conversion friction, no easy way for early-stage users to submit inquiries. I'd love to hear some from the community. How would you optimize a landing page for B2B mineral buyers? Any negative keyword strategies in that niche? And any platforms for targeting. Very cool, very interesting. I've actually done quite a bit of work in the industrial space for B2B buyers. And it's interesting. It's very different from users who are going online to shop for a t-shirt. And the purchases and the buys usually do not happen on that first click. That's why what it sounds like for this account, it sounds like it's set up well. The advertiser clearly knows that it's important to look at not just clicks and impressions and click-through rate, but conversions. I do agree that it does have a very high click-through rate percentage, which means that it's relevant. And without having a look at the account, at the search terms report to see how users are searching, he could be right that there are very research-focused or tire kickers that are clicking on the ad to gain more information about what it might be. Because the funnel and the purchase timeline for users who are in this industrial space, in this case, it's the mineral business, is probably really long. Ultimately, what we want to be able to do is bring users with relevant keywords to a landing page that is very informative. These users usually need information before they can make a big decision. And what I found that helps in this space is bringing forward answers to the questions that they need right at the get-go. So if I am, for instance, in the mineral space and I have a mineral business and abrasive sand, some of the questions that I might need to understand is there a square footage that I need to report in order to get a quote for this service? Like, okay, I need 1,000 square feet of abrasive sand applied. And what is the material or the grade that's going to be used? Or things like that, like questions that will directly be required in order to require a quote. For this case, the mineral business, bring those to the front just right away so that the user understands, like, I'm on this landing page, they're going to be able to provide me with a quote, and it's already looking into the questions that I need answers to. That would be my approach to this, is just really dialing in, start with the end in mind. A lot of times what I recommend to my clients in the industrial space is, what is the most valuable piece of information that you provide for your clients that they're the most happy, the most excited about? And if you could bring that to the front and display it in a creative way, either by collecting information or questions, that's a great way to do it. Because most definitely users are probably searching and shopping around, trying to look into different solutions or what they're exploring. So in this case, you just want to bring to the front of the landing page the answers and the value that they're looking for. It sounds pretty straightforward, but oftentimes in different spaces, people will require different things. If you're just collecting name, email, phone number, users are gonna, you'll probably get some conversion actions. This user probably got some conversion actions. And we haven't looked at the landing page. We don't know what the landing page looks like. Assuming that it's well-designed and the information is there, moving away from just name, email, phone number, but actually putting in a form that is going to have the user take an action is going to be far more valuable in terms of generating more conversions. So that's what I would probably try here for this situation, is going to the end goal, the end user. What is it that they were most happy about, or what was the information that they needed collected to make it just seamless as possible and incorporate that into it. Down the pipe a little bit further, I think that there's going to be a really strong need for remarketing, because users who come to a landing page and bounce or fail to convert, if you can tag those users with a pixel and then remarket to them valuable content around how you operate or success stories, that's going to help bring them back and ultimately convert. And so that's something else that I would explore as well for this. So without looking at the campaign, looking at some very high metrics and not seeing the landing page, just shooting off some ideas, that's kind of the feedback that I have for that particular question. I think that that was a very helpful activity. Let's keep going. Let's keep working through this. Let's keep going. Ooh, this is a fun one. Generating direct response leads with YouTube in the PI legal space. This is another space that I have a lot of experience in. I previously worked for FindLaw, part of Thomson Reuters, when I was in New York City. And so I know quite a bit about the personal injury legal space, actually all of the legal space. And so this seems like an interesting question. All right, the question, generating direct response leads with YouTube in the PI legal space. I've had quite a lot of success using Meta for direct lead generation in the personal injury space, which seems common based on the volume of ads I see. I'm wondering if anyone has been able to generate direct response leads with YouTube, not brand awareness, but actual form fills or phone call driven campaigns. Very cool. Yeah, I think that this is probably something that advertisers experience, that you can turn on Meta ad campaigns on platform lead generation forms. And you can usually collect, well, if you don't set up the right parameters and don't have high qualified options selected for your lead forms, you're going to collect a bunch of just junk. And then there might be a good lead in there as well too. But I found that a lot of the direct lead generation that you're going to do on Meta, you're going to get success from it, but a lot of it is also going to be very unqualified. So this question is can you do the same thing with YouTube? And YouTube often is kind of, and this advertiser calls it out, they're not interested in brand awareness, but they want actual form fills or phone call driven campaigns. Yeah, I think that YouTube is great. Generally, what I like to do, and my strategy for this, is you want to layer your organic video content across as many channels as you possibly can. You want YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, any of those platforms that you're able to distribute your video content to, you should. YouTube should be a part of that. Collecting and generating organic content is a very important part of basically being able to completely tell your story. So the first comment actually nails this. I'm going to read this. It says, yes, but it's more difficult than Meta and the economics are not the same. It is more difficult than Meta. Users, when they're scrolling YouTube shorts, they'll see it, and if it's relevant and important enough for them, they'll click that, take them to submit a lead form and start the process from there. So the difference is you're taking that user one step forward. Usually as they're scrolling, they're going to be redirected to a landing page, and collecting that conversion is going to be a little bit more different than on platform, the way that Meta can do. So what's the trick? What's the way that if I just start distributing YouTube ads to generate more direct response leads? I think that for any video content, you've got to have a pretty strong hook to get users' attention. They're scrolling forever. And there's some pretty creative video pieces out there for that hook. And there's some trendy ones. You definitely don't have to get into the front of the camera and start dancing like a TikTok, but there needs to be some kind of creative hook. For PI, it's very interesting, because a lot of times for PI, they're dealing with injured at work, slip and fall, car accident, those grade of incidents. And so it's not always instantaneous. It's usually if a user has had that experience, then they want to open that up and take that case. So I think that one of the things that I always talk about in terms of hooks and quality content in reaching users, like if I'm a personal injury attorney and I'm creating video content, what I want to do is I just want to shorten the space that the user who's viewing my content and me who's sharing my expertise. Because if a user just sees an ad for a personal injury attorney and clicks on an ad and it navigates them to a big website or a giant landing page with dozens of different attorneys, they don't really know who they're interacting with or working with. If I'm a personal injury attorney, what I want to do is I want to create content where I am speaking directly to the user, almost through their phone, explaining, hey, I'm a personal injury attorney. If you've been hurt or injured and you're looking for it, you're going to work directly with me. You can click this right now. It's going to put you in touch with me. Really try to create just a close connection between the user viewing the ad and the personal injury attorney, so that closes that loop, closes that gap. There are call extensions that you can tack onto the YouTube, and also there are lead form extensions that you can tack onto the YouTube as well too. So you don't necessarily have to navigate them to a landing page. There's lead form extensions that they can fill out right there as part of the video ad. So those can be extremely efficient. My recommendation, like I said, would be to generate a bunch of organic content, place it out there in the field, test your YouTube ads. Okay, very cool. It's a fun one. Let's keep scrolling. Ooh, I like this one a lot too. How long do you actually wait after bid or campaign changes before judging performance? Hey everyone, wanted to get input from experienced PPC folks here. I'm trying to understand how seriously you treat the learning period in Google Ads. Google mentions campaigns enter learning after bid strategy or settings change. How long do you actually wait before evaluating performance? And then he goes in and talks about changing max CPC or campaign level settings. Do you allow it for a fixed waiting window? This is a good question. I think that oftentimes advertisers in the PPC space get a little antsy after enabling new assets, and especially accounts and clients can get extremely antsy after new campaigns are enabled. What I always do when I go into any strategy call and discussing the launch of new campaigns is I make it clear that they understand that, hey, as soon as we turn on these campaigns, you're going to see a status in the Google Ads dashboard that says bid strategy learning. And essentially what that means is the algorithm is trying to fine tune itself based on the assets that are installed and the bid strategy that you've selected. If you're just getting started with Google Ads and you have no historical conversion data, you're not able to basically lean on any conversion-based bidding strategies. You can't use max conversions. You can't use target CPA because you don't have any conversion data yet. So usually when I enable a campaign for the first time, I either lean into like a manual CPC bid strategy, depending on the size of the account, or if it's an extremely large account, I'll usually leverage like a max clicks bid strategy. But the idea is we want to create as much volume for the assets that have been selected as possible to learn, okay? So when I turn on those campaigns, either using manual CPC or max clicks, I basically just want to maximize the visibility and the clicks of the assets that I've selected to try to generate conversions. And if your conversion tracking is set up properly, your landing page is programmed to entice users to submit a lead form, place a phone call, or book a calendar, and you're going to start to generate those conversions, you'll basically need a volume of conversions before you're able to take advantage of a max conversions or a target CPA bid strategy. I think the golden rule for Google Ads is you need at the campaign level, 30 to 50 successful conversions for that campaign to truly benefit from a max conversions or a target CPA bid strategies. You don't necessarily have to wait that long before you change your bid strategy from a manual CPC or a max clicks bid strategy to a max conversions bid strategy. But the more conversion data that it has, the more efficient the algorithm is going to be at distributing your assets to the right users. So once the algorithm has started to generate more quality conversions, then you can kind of, I call it kind of stage up my bid strategies. Start with a max clicks or a manual CPC, and then I graduate the conversion tracking the bid strategy to a max conversions bid strategy. So then I can really just zero in on the opportunities going to produce conversions for my assets. Then after you've generated 50 or 100 or 150 conversion actions, you're going to have, the data is going to begin to aggregate. And this is over a period of time too. This isn't going to happen in week 2. It's more likely going to happen month 1, month 2, where you start to see the data begin to aggregate. And then you can start setting benchmarks around what is a manageable target cost per acquisition for the conversions that I'm generating. And you got to be careful there, because if you are generating 100 conversions and your cost per conversion is $80 or CPA, and you want to take advantage of a target CPA bid strategy, you can't go in and change your target CPA to 20 or 30 if actual CPA is 80 or 90. You'll completely throttle the algorithm. You'll basically just tighten it so much that it's not going to be able to deliver. It'll probably stop delivering. So what you want to do is you want to incrementally work that target cost per acquisition down. And there's industry standards that you should familiarize yourself with and try to be around those benchmarks, and also depending on how the conversion action is defined for it. But you'll want to, if you're at 80 or 90 and you're like, I really want to get to something that's 60 or 70, you got to tweak and fine tune. You got to look at the assets that are generating conversions at or below what your target cost per acquisition is, and then incrementally decrease what that target cost per acquisition is. You got to be careful here because, like I said, know what the industry standard is for what you're generating. You want to program the target cost per acquisition bidding strategy around the industry that you're in and the actual conversion data that you're able to produce for the account. That's how I'd explore that. And I kind of went off on a tangent here because what the question was around here is how long do you wait before judging performance? So like I said, that first week when I enable campaigns is usually geared towards learning, testing. I don't make any major changes. I'm always in fine-tuning and tweaking small things around how the users are searching or audience or things related to the campaigns like that, making sure that all my assets are enabled and that what's delivering is relevant, making sure that there's not any search terms that are driving up my impressions, which is damaging my click-through rate. That first week is really just kind of learning. Now, going into week 2, you should have a pretty clear sense and direction of how the campaigns are performing. Top of funnel, high-level metrics. You're looking at your clicks, your impressions, your click-through rate, your average cost per click for the assets that you have installed. They're going to be very informative in terms of understanding like how relevant are the assets that I've defined for the space that I'm trying to target. Those are what you can look at initially. And ideally, you'll see a conversion come through or 2. That's looking at week 1 and week 2. And then going into week 3, conversions should be more and more consistent. You should see not just 1 or 2, you should see more consistent conversion actions coming in. And at that point, also depending on the budget and how easily you are able to kind of scale up or down, going into week 4, you'll have a clear answer. Like, okay, like we spent $3,000 on ads. We were able to generate 10 conversion actions. It's a little high right now for this space, but at least we have a direction. We know kind of what's working. Let's go into month 2 and see how we can optimize and scale from there. So that's the general path that I see. And when you're navigating and understanding like your bid strategy for those campaigns, that's the path that I would also take depending on the account history. If you come into an account that has a very healthy set of conversions that you can immediately benefit from, I would recommend leaning into a max conversions bid strategy because it's got the data to support that, especially if you've got bottom of funnel conversions being piped back in through the customer CRM. Those are extremely valuable signals that the algorithm is going to be able to benefit from for your bidding strategies. The idea is you want to let your data be your guide. You want to understand, like if you have a bid strategy that's working for a campaign that's generating conversions, that's great. If you scale that, you want to scale it properly. If you want to hit certain benchmarks, you want to leverage different bidding strategies like target CPA. So I think that was a fun one to talk through. Obviously have a lot of different ideas around that. Okay, here's an interesting one. How do you like to test and broad match keywords? This is a good question because the recommendation from Google Ads is going to be to leverage more and more broad keywords. Basically gives the algorithm a little bit more bandwidth to test what is going to turn into a conversion, but it's very dangerous because it opens the door basically for a very high volume of irrelevant search queries, and we've got to protect against that. So this question is how do you like to test in broad match keywords? Let's read the question. We've tried several different methods and are still learning what works best, but one thing I cannot say I recommend is creating a campaign experiment where the draft campaign swaps a few phrase match keywords with broad match. Why? Because the experiment campaign can go into learning phase. That automatically skews results. You also have to take a campaign off of its portfolio strategy in order to run a campaign experiment, and this alone can take performance temporarily, even if you keep the same strategy and the same target CPA as on the portfolio. Looking for ideas for the least invasive way to test into broad match without affecting account performance more than needed. It would be nice to have an AP stat significance, but that is not worth learning phrases, temporary performance issues, etc. Before I go into the answers, I want to think about how I would do this. But if it were me, I think what I would look at is, are there any broad match keywords that are generating conversions and prioritize those and even start layering those into any active ad groups. If my ad group is only composed of exact and phrase match keywords, what I would probably do is if there is a similar variant that fired as a broad from the search terms report that converted, I'm going to add that as a keyword into my ad group so that I'm actively bidding on that broad match keyword. Now, you've got to do that very carefully because that's basically going to give Google the go-ahead for that broad match keyword to start pulling a lot of different traffic. But if I can get that broad to start to perform, I basically can add keywords to an existing campaign which will likely increase the volume, the impression volume. So I might see a slight dip in click-through rate percentage from those broad match keywords that I'm adding into my ad groups. But then I can at least see like, okay, does broad have a place? And honestly, the only time that broad does have a place in an account is when it is producing conversions. And ultimately, you can test those broad keywords against the exact phrase. And if the broad is converting more frequently at a lower cost per acquisition, then that begins to take the priority. Because usually I'll sort my keywords by volume and rank them by conversions. And if there are keywords that are converting better, those are the ones that I'm going to prioritize for the account. So that's kind of how I would do it. And I want to see kind of what the response is. Okay, look, top response. I promise I didn't look at this. Add the same ad groups as exact and phrase. Monitor before and after. Broad works better well these days if budgets are high. Awesome. Okay, so there we go. Awesome. Well done. This commenter and I had the same thought, the same exact idea. Just add them to the ad groups of exact and phrase. Here's another idea. We put it in a different campaign so we can control the budget on the broad match keywords. I have done this before as well too. Basically segment your broad match keywords into its own campaign. Separating broad assets versus exact and phrase is not a bad way to do it. See another recommendation here. Separate campaign with a small budget, give it 4 to 6 weeks, enough conversion volume before drawing conclusions. Yep, I like that a lot. I like these recommendations a lot. I'm glad that we're on the same page with the top recommendation. Take your broad match keywords, layer them into your active exact phrase ad groups to give them a good test. Excellent. Welcome, my friends, to the other digital marketing subreddit. Let's take a look and see if there's anything valuable here. The simple best marketing tools for organic marketing. Let's talk about this one because Rapid Growth does something here for the best simple marketing tools for organic marketing. My answer to this is the Authority Kit. The Authority Kit is great. It's very similar to what I'm doing here where I'm recording and capturing content and then slicing that into dozens of different reels and shorts that I'm going to schedule organically across all of my channels. So my answer is, what is the simplest, best marketing tools for organic marketing? Capturing video content, demonstrating your expertise through the Authority Kit. Shameless plug here. If you have expertise that you want to share, come do a podcast session with me. We'll capture your expertise. We'll clip it into short segments and reels that we'll share across all of your social media platforms for months to come. That's my recommendation for organic marketing. Let's go through the actual question now. Hi all, we are currently heavily invested in Google Ads. They're looking into organic marketing for my business. I prefer simple tools over complex ones. So curious, what is the simplest marketing tools for organic marketing that you all recommend? Let's just take a look at the first comment. Since you already get Google Ads, organic channel should work for you with SEO and AEO. Customers are already searching for things on ChatGPT and Google, so you can show up without ads, it's a win. Yeah, I agree. I mean, SEO is the easy answer. You want to make sure that you're regularly creating content that you're tying to your website that is valuable to other users. And I think the way that you do that is you'll also want to explore your search console so you get an idea of which organic keywords are users searching that are bringing them to your website and prioritizing content around that. Ultimately, I feel like the best grade of SEO content is content that answers a user's question, because when people go to Google or when they go to any of these AI tools, they're searching a specific question that they want answers for. Now, if you can create content around that on your website, that's what the algorithms are going to pull from and demonstrate and give as answers. Yep, look at that. For SEO, honestly, just needs Google Search Console. Beautiful. Me and this user are in line with kind of what our recommendations are. So that's probably the easiest, cheapest, most useful tool. I also like this user goes on and talks about SEMrush, but those are some really great tools for just kind of exploring organic content and how people are discovering the content that you're sharing and developing. Yeah, explore how users are searching, create video content, come do that with me. That's my shameless plug. But okay, so this was kind of the first of the series that I'm going to do. I love scrolling Reddit. I love thinking out loud through these ideas. So I'm going to try to capture more of this content in the future, and I will see how I can make this valuable. It's valuable exercise for me to make sure that my opinions and my recommendations for these accounts stay in tune. So I will close this up for now. Thank you very much.